Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Friday, June 15th. We have a full slate tonight, 15 games slate on this Friday. A slate that has Kluber, Charlie Morton, and James Paxton all on it. Those are three options we have over 10K. Then you do have good mid-range pitchers. You got Ross Stripling, Waka, Skaggs, Porcello, Gio Gonzalez, Gosman, just keeps going down from there. So a lot of pitchers to talk about. Obviously, there's going to be bats to talk about as well, stacks that we want to go to. So I do not want to waste time. Just make sure you guys drop a like on the video before we get started. And if you have not subscribed yet, make sure you do click that subscribe button down below, so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. But yeah, the three pitching options over 10K today, I mentioned them: Kluber, Morton, and Paxton. Just looking at my five plays, I'm not going to be including any of these three guys in it. Kluber is obviously a very talented pitcher. This matchup against Minnesota, I think, is like a mediocre matchup. It's not a great matchup, but it's not like a terrible matchup either. But Kluber is expensive today. He's $13,600. I don't think I'm going to get burned if I fade Corey Kluber today. I don't see Kluber going out and getting like 35 to 40 here, which is kind of what I feel like I would be like. If I faded Kluber and he got 35 to 40, then I'd probably be pretty disappointed. But if Kluber gets like 25, 30, I think I can live with that, especially since there are mid-tier plays that are cheaper that I think have upside. Maybe could even outscore Kluber. You never really know in baseball, such a high variance sport. So I'm kind of going to be off of Kluber today. Same with Charlie Morton. I'm just not very interested in against KC. That's not a great strikeout matchup. Morton's kind of been struggling lately. Don't have a ton of interest in him. And then James Paxton is a great pitcher, but against Boston, I'm not going to be going there. The guy that I really like is Ross Stripling. I think Ross Stripling is a great play here versus the Giants. This is a Giants team that has been striking out a lot this year. A team that usually, or we know that didn't strike out last year, wasn't a heavy K team, but that hasn't been the case this year. They've been striking out a lot. Stripling's been getting a ton of strikeouts lately. He's been great for fantasy. Look at the last four games. He's been very consistent. 35, 32, 26, and 24 DraftKings points. He's got 6, 7, 9, and 10 strikeouts in those four games. Even like some tough strikeout matchups against the Braves, he still managed to get 6 Ks there. Against the Pirates, a team that doesn't have a ton of strikeouts in their lineup, he still managed to get 7 Ks against them. This is a good strikeout matchup, so I could easily see Ross Stripling getting 8, 9, possibly 10 strikeouts here. Just so much upside. Going to be pitching at home in Dodger Stadium, a good pitcher's park. Obviously in the National League, he'll be able to face the opposing pitcher, which also helps him as well. Just really like Ross Stripling. Think he has a lot of upside. He's a lot cheaper than the expensive plays. Has similar upside to the expensive options. Could definitely even outscore them. So I'm going with Stripling as my SP1. And then at SP2, I like Tyler Skaggs to pair with Stripling at 9,300. You go Skaggs and Stripling, that still leaves you 3,800 remaining per player, which I really do like. That's decent salary to work with. There are expensive bats I want to pay up for. And going with Stripling and Skaggs does allow me to get in at least a couple expensive bats that I do like. But just looking at Skaggs here, I think this is a good matchup for him versus an Oakland team that also does strike out a lot. I've said this before, this Oakland team has power versus lefties, but they still have so many strikeouts in their lineup from top to bottom. A lot of these guys have like over 20% K rates. I know Chris Davis, like his K rate's like 30%, might even be more than that, honestly. A lot of strikeouts here. Great pitcher's park as well in Oakland. Just think Skaggs has a lot of upside here. He's a great strikeout pitcher. He can rack up Ks, 8 strikeouts against Minnesota, 6 against Texas. We've seen him 7 strikeouts in 3 straight games, 8 against the Yankees. Definitely a good strikeout pitcher, and this is a good matchup where he can rack up Ks. So I like Skaggs and Stripling today as my two pitchers. If we just look at some of the other options on this slate, besides the expensive plays, maybe some of the cheaper options we could consider. I think at 8,100, Zach Godley here at home versus the Mets could definitely be a play. The Mets have been so cold lately. They're getting a good matchup Thursday night versus Matt Cook. We'll see how they do. I'm recording this game at 8:15 Eastern Time on Thursday night. That game hasn't started yet. Maybe the Mets break out of their slump Thursday night. Maybe they start hitting the ball well. But if they struggle again Thursday night, things aren't going to get easier for them here against Godley. So 8,100 Godley at home, I think could definitely be a play if you want to go to him. I think on the other side of that game, Seth Lugo looked really good in that start against the Yankees on last Sunday night. Could definitely play Seth Lugo here at 7,100. I feel like he could be a good option as well if you're going a little bit cheaper. That's really all that I like. That's really, really cheap. I'm not going to be on like any of these guys that are 6K and under. I'm really focused on like that 9K range. You can pay up for Kluber if you want to do that. I personally don't think I'm going to be at his price and with other options. So that mid-tier where I'm really focused on, especially with Stripling and Skaggs. But yeah, we'll go ahead and talk about my 5 plays. So first off, at first base, I love the Rockies today, so I think Ian Desmond at first base, great value option here, 3,900 versus this left-hander for the Rangers, who I looked at his minor league stuff. Not a very good pitcher. It looks like, I believe he had like a 5 ERA just in the minor leagues. So definitely a pitcher I'm going to be looking to pick on. The Rockies have a 5.6 implied run total for today, and they're getting a great hitter's park here in Texas, where it's going to be 96 degrees with some humidity as well. Going to be great hitting weather. I think the Rockies, great stack. I think on the other side of that game, you can definitely go to the Rangers. But the Rockies for me, with Desmond, we'll talk about Nolan Arenado. I love today, sub 5K, just 4,900. I think all these righties are great plays versus this Mendez guy, who is a pitcher that I don't really believe in. Like Ian Desmond here, somewhat of a revenge game, did play for Texas a couple years ago. So that just adds to it, just makes me like Desmond a little bit more. I think he's a great value option at first base. And then my next play, another value play I like at second base. I was on him the other day, came through with the home run, could see him homering again today, and that is Yoan Moncada. I really like Yoan Moncada here versus Mike Fiers. Fiers is a pitcher I don't believe in, a pitcher I think is pretty poor, pretty bad pitcher that struggles to lefties, and Moncada, very good versus righties, much better versus righties, much better when he bats from his left side, and he will be batting from his left side today versus Fiers. Moncada just has a ton of upside. This dude has power, he has speed. Even if he doesn't homer, if he gets on base, he's a threat to steal bases. Just has a lot of upside. Leading off, should get plenty of at-bats, plenty of opportunities to rack up some fantasy points. I think he's a great option at second base. If you're going cheap, he's only 3,700. And then, like I mentioned, at third base, I love Nolan Arenado today. Definitely one of my favorite plays on this slate. Versus a lefty and a great hitter's park. We know Arenado crushes lefties. I do like to play Arenado at home versus lefties when he's in Coors Field. But this ballpark in Texas is pretty much like the second or third best hitter's park, especially when it's hot like it's going to be tomorrow, 96 degrees. Just great hitting weather. You're going to want to target this game both sides. And Arenado I love here. Like I said, this Mendez guy, just not a pitcher I believe in, a pitcher I don't think is very good. I'm going to be loading up on the Rockies today, starting with Desmond and Arenado. Definitely two options I love from that team. But yeah, guys, these are my 5 plays for tonight's 15-game slate. Ross Stripling, Tyler Skaggs, Ian Desmond, Yoan Moncada, and Nolan Arenado. Now we will quickly talk about some stacks and BVP plays on this 15-game slate before we do get out of here. So just looking at stacks, this game right here, the Rangers and Rockies, that's going to be a game I load up on from both sides. I think both teams are in play, especially the Rockies, probably my number one stack on this slate. Really isn't a lot I love, like in the later games. Maybe some of the righties from against Derek Holland, some of the righties from the Dodgers you could consider, especially like Justin Turner. If you're not going to play Arenado, you could definitely go down to Turner at 4K versus a lefty. He's always been good versus lefties. Really isn't a lot I love, like in the later games. In the earlier games, not a ton I love either, just not a lot of high run totals. Maybe the Yankees against Eovaldi you could go to, but the Yankees are not really a priority for me. Even though I'm not paying like 10K or more for a pitcher and I have a little bit of salary, I don't think I'm really jamming in Yankees today. It's really this Rockies and Rangers game that I really, really like, and that I'm kind of loading up on, the game I'm really focused on. Then you could definitely go to the White Sox as well versus Fiers, especially guys like Moncada, Jose Abreu, Daniel Paca. I think these guys are in play today. But yeah, that's really the stacks I like. Now we'll talk about some BVP plays. 15-game slate, going to be a lot of them, so I'll just cover the ones with about a 20 at-bat sample. If you do want to look at all the BVP plays, you can just pause the video here, but like I said, I'll cover the ones with a decent sample size. So starting off, a lot of these Indians have hit Kyle Gibson well. Edwin Encarnacion, 7 for 19 with 4 home runs. Great BVP there. Yan Gomes, 11 for 24 with 2 home runs. Jason Kipnis is 12 for 25 with a home run. Lindor, 10 for 23. And Jose Ramirez is 7 for 22 with a home run. If you want to make a little BVP stack, if you believe in BVP, you could definitely load up on these Indians because they have really hit Kyle Gibson well. Looks like 6 of them all have decent BVP. But then looking at the other plays, Ryan Braun, 7 for 28 with 3 home runs versus Jake Arrieta. A couple of these Cubs have hit Michael Wacha pretty well, especially Rizzo. But starting off with Bryant, he's 9 for 31 with 2 home runs. Rizzo, probably the best BVP play on the slate if you believe in BVP. He's 18 for 40 with 3 home runs versus Michael Wacha. And then Addison Russell is 5 for 17 with a home run versus Wacha. A couple of these Cardinals have hit John Lester well, Jed Yorko is 9 for 22 with 3 home runs, and Yadier Molina is 12 for 37 with the home run. Two guys have hit Skaggs well. It's not really great BVP, but Jonathan Lucroy is 3 for 10 with the home run, and Marcus Semien is 4 for 10. And then the last play is Denard Span. He's 19 for 48 with the home run versus Rick Porcello. But now looking at the pitchers that have done well in their matchups, just 2 pitchers. Gio Gonzalez has done well in the past versus the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are only hitting him for a 2.04 average. And then Corey Kluber, not really a surprise here, has done well against the Twins in the past. Twins are only hitting Kluber for a 154 average through 136 ABs. And then looking at the pitchers that have struggled, Kyle Gibson, like I mentioned with all that Indians BVP, he struggled against the Indians. The Indians have hit him for a 368 average, 64 hits, 20 extra base hits, and 9 home runs through 174 ABs. And then Michael Wacha, he has struggled in this matchup with the Cubs in the past. The Cubs have hit him for a 313 average, 52 hits, 26 extra base hits, and 11 home runs through 166 ABs. Cubs and Indians both hit their opposing pitchers really well for this slate. But yeah, guys, I think that's it for BVP and PVB on the main slate. I think that is it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helped you. If you did enjoy, make sure you do click that like button before you get out of here. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure you do click that subscribe button down below. If you have any questions, like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GO, or feel free to leave a comment down below. And I will get back to you guys as soon as I can. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Good luck tonight on this big 15-game slate. See you.